Hello. So in this video, let us learn about different background properties of CSS. So how do you apply a color to an element in CSS? How do you create a gradient effect and apply it as a background to an element? Or how do you attach an image, or how do you attach multiple images as backgrounds? Let us do a demo. So here is my HTML and my CSS that I've attached here, and the preview on the right hand side and developer menu. So let's go ahead and create a div that is a container, and let's add some classes. Okay, let's make this container as big as the viewport. So width, to do that we can use the VW and viewport width or viewport height. Now the container is increased its height, but I'm unable to see the container, so let me add some background color, as you could see. But there is a scroll coming for this background because the body has some padding, default padding. So let's remove the body padding so it will fit right in the page. So padding 0 and margin 0. Now no scrolling, the container itself is occupying the width of viewport and height of viewport, the viewport height and viewport width. So that's good. Now we have seen how to apply the background color to this div, but how do we apply gradient? Okay, so if I want gradient, you need to use this value, linear gradient, and you need to pick two colors, like from which color to which color. So from blue to yellow. Background blue to yellow. Now you can change the percentage of the merge percentage of that particular color. So you can put it to 20%, and the blue will occupy the 20% more space and then start merge with the yellow color. You can do the same with yellow also, but I'll leave it to that. So now you can change the direction of this gradient going. So you can say to left. So now blue starts from the right and it actually flows to the left. Okay, you can also say to right, top, bottom, (90 degrees, 90 DEG). So it will rotate 90 degrees, like 45 degrees. So you can rotate the linear gradient. This is how you rotate that linear gradient and let it move in the direction. You can add as many colors as you want. If you added one more color, it is actually adding it to the color. After blue, if you want green, you can add a green, so it will actually fill that space up. So now you can see the green color as well. How about radial gradient? Can I do that? Yes, you can do that. Background or background image. You cannot apply the gradient, linear gradient or radial gradient on background color property. So you cannot say like this, but you need to apply it as a background image. Radial gradient, and you say red, yellow. So this is not a valid color. Now this is a valid color. You can change the direction for radial gradient also, like this. So ellipsis at bottom, or you can say at bottom, at left, okay, at right, or closest. You could say there are different properties for this position, to position that gradient, like closest side or closest. So it will kind of says that you expand it until the closest side that you can touch. So there are many properties. I'll leave the link to all kinds of properties that radial gradient has, and you can explore it. Now let's understand how do you attach an image. So the same property, background image property, you can say URL and you can go to images, and I have some images here. So let me add this as an image. The background is applied, but let us check out the original background image in the images folder. So if I click on this, you could see there is only one Dora and one monkey, right? But all of a sudden here there are many Doras and many monkeys. So if I zoom out, it is actually displaying multiple Doras. And so what is happening is that it is a single image. The background image property applied that image as a background to that element, container element, but it actually repeats that image to the available view in X and Y axis. So if you could see X and Y axis, it is repeating in both the axes. So you can either stop this repetition or you can only let it flow in one direction. So how can you do that? You can do it with background repeat property. So you can say no repeat, so it will only be rendered once, or you can say repeat X, it will only flow it on X axis, or you can say repeat on Y and it will only repeat on Y axis. By default it is repeat, but you can always say no repeat. You can actually attach multiple images like this. You can put a comma. So I have 3 other images in the same folder. So I have another image, that is Bob, SpongeBob. Now you could see there are 2 images in here on the same element. So for the same container, I have attached 2 images and both the images have rendered here. So what is the purpose? Like, why do we need to have multiple images? So let me add a third image to give that justification. URL, that is images hills.png. If I wanted to place these 2 elements on the image, that on the background, I can do that. Okay, how? There is a property called background size, and you could say 200 px comma 200 px comma 100%. If you could see, this has been reduced. The first image has been reduced to 200 pixels, second image is also reduced to 200 pixels, and third image, that is occupied the width of 100%. So now I can say to expand this guy, the last image, the hills image, to occupy the entire space, not to leave a white, not to give a white space here. So just expand this image and fill up the space. So you can say cover. So as soon as you say cover, it will actually occupy, it will expand this image or just fill that image on the background. Now I can I want to position these guys, like I just want these guys to flow here in the air, and I just want this guy to sit in the grass somewhere here. I can use the background position property and I can say left, right, center. Now you could say this guy is actually pushed to the left, and the second image in the same order like this is pushed to the right, and third image is actually pulled into the center. So it's kind of like this, like it was something else. It was expanded the image, but the image was positioned from it. The image origin was started here and it was expanding like this in this direction. But with this property, with this position, it is actually expanding from the center. So in this direction, rather expanding the image to fill the space like this, it is now expanding from center. Now if I wanted to just move this guy little bit below, so that it looks as if it is sitting here, I can do that. You can say 90% and say 70%. So I'm setting the X and Y axes for this guy. So that 90% on the X axis, on the Y axis 90%. Now, can I place some content in it, in this image? Now my characters sitting in right positions where I wanted them. Now I want to add some content inside this guy. So like cartoon world. Let me reset the margin for this H1 so that the container div will occupy the original place. So dot container space H1 margin 0. Now the margin for this guy is 0. Now let me add some content in it. I just copied some text here so that I can bring up some scrolling for this div. So when I scroll, the background is moving up and down, and I just don't want this to happen. You can control that too with background attachment property. The default value of this property is scroll, but you can say fixed. Now the background image is fixed and it's not moving. So now you could see it is right there and it is not moving. It is time for a shorthand property. What is shorthand? A shorthand replaces multiple CSS properties into, or merges multiple CSS properties into one single CSS property. So such property for background is background. Now the order for this is, if you want, so URL and this image. So now I just want to stop this, right? Okay, if you remember, we want to have it as repeat, no repeat, and I want this guy only on the left. So you could say left, and it is now in the left, but the size should be 200 pixels. So put a slash and 200 pixels, and do the same for the next image also. So copy this image, put a comma. So now I want this guy in the left with 200 pixels. Remember the Bob image. Okay, and no repeat. Bob is actually came here, but Bob is actually on the left, but I want Bob in the right. Okay, now finally the hill. So if I copy this guy, comment everything and put a comma. Now this is not coming from center because this is originated from top to bottom. So let me make it to center. So center, and it is not containing the it's actually expanded, but I just wanted to fill in the maximum image to be filled in the viewport. So this is what our old view. So now we don't have all these properties, just this one property having all the styles. That's all for this video, guys. If you like the video, please do hit the like button, please do subscribe, and let me know how I did, and if I haven't covered anything, let me know in the comments. Thank you.